Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, you lovely people, whichever one it is for you. Welcome back to Lilywhite Lane. I hope that you're all having a really good Wednesday and week wherever you are in the world, and whatever you are planning to get up to. And you're all very welcome along to your Tottenham Hotspur versus AS Roma match preview. The game that is set to take place this Thursday evening at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in N17. But before we get talking about the game, can I ask that if you haven't already, you smash that subscribe button, give it a Rocky Balboa right hook, hit that like button as hard as you possibly can. It hugely helps us out in the YouTube algorithm. Destroy that notification bell so once you're subscribed, you're notified every single time we upload a new piece of Spurs of football content. And once you're done abusing all the buttons on the channel, be sure to comment all of your fantastic thoughts and opinions down below. I will be very happy to discuss and debate them. Alright Ramblers, let's get rambling and let's delve into the game. We're going to do this video how we normally do most match previews, talk about the opposition, how they're getting on, then look at Tottenham, our recent form, then go through a predicted 11, how I think the game's going to turn out, as I say, players to be concerned about from the opposition and to watch out for, and then finish the video off with a score prediction. Very well organised on this channel. So we'll start things off by talking about Roma. It's been a real mixed bag of a season so far for them. They've had some ups, as I say, but some really bad downs, to be honest. And by their standards, it's not been great. It really hasn't been great. They've been very, very inconsistent. Similar to Spurs, started this season off under De Rossi. They didn't have a terrible start, but it wasn't a great one. Surprisingly, I believe 4 or 5 games into the season, they sacked him. Really, really shocking one there. Finished last season unbelievably well at the football club. They brought in plenty of players that he wanted for his system. And then you go and get rid of him after a few games. But as I say, Roma, no mucking about from them. They go out, they get their new man. And their new man was Claudio Ranieri. Quite surprising to see him back in management at the top level. Got some good results at the start. But recently things haven't really been working out. A couple of 3-2 losses to Verona and Bologna. And then just coming off a loss in Serie A that I watched on the weekend on Saturday evening. Or was it Saturday evening? No, it was Sunday afternoon against Napoli. They weren't great in that game whatsoever. Napoli under Conte looked very, very solid, to be fair to them. But yeah, 3 losses in a row in Serie A. In terms of their Europa League form, as I say, they are currently sat on 5 points. Drew their first game with Athletic Club. Their second game lost to Elfsborg, the Christmas team themselves, Elf FC. So yeah, quite an embarrassing loss that one to Christmas FC, Elf FC themselves. They did follow that up, however, with their first win of their Europa League campaign, 1-0 against Dynamo Kiev. But again, they couldn't build on it. They could not build on it. A 1-1 draw against USG, a team that they should be beating. I nearly called them USB there, but a team that they should be beating all day long, to be honest. So, sacked their manager at the beginning of the season. Got a bit of a new manager bounce when Ranieri first came in. But recently, it's not been going well for them in the Europa League and in their own league. As I say, they still have some good players, as I say, that they did go out there and so on. I'll talk about that when we talk about how the game's going to pan out and players to watch out for. But yeah, been a mixed bag for Roma, and a mixed bag isn't good enough. They expect to be up there competing, as I say, with the best teams in that league. Instead, it's been win-loss, 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 which is very similar to how it's been for Tottenham so far this season. A massive win against Manchester City on the weekend, 4-0. Obviously the biggest win of this season, but we've had some real big wins. The 3-0 against United, the 4-1 against West Ham, 4-1 against Aston Villa, and we followed them up, as I say, with real poor performances. The 1-0 against Palace, the 3-2 against Brighton, the 2-1 against Ipswich. So you look at our record, it's been win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. Europa League, however, for the most part, we've looked really solid. Teams that we should be beating, but you've got to beat what's in front of you. You can only play who's in front of you. Our first Europa League game down to 10 men and beat Karabag. Our second, a 2-1 win away against Ferencváros. Our third, 1-0 against AZ Alkmaar, who are no mugs, by the way. That Poku, I believe his name was, on the wing. Quality, terrific little player, in the words of Harry Redknapp. And then in our last game, a terrible performance. Let's not beat around the bush against Galatasaray. I get it's a ground that a lot of, teams struggle at, but we did not have the bottle for that on that day. We really, really didn't. I mean, went down to 10 men. We actually started playing better then, but Galatasaray genuinely could have scored 5 or 6 in the first half. So thankfully, because of the fixtures that we've had, the draw that we had, and the wins that we picked up, we're in a good position currently in the Europa League, unlike Roma. So it's a big game for both sides. Spurs to continue that momentum after the Manchester City game and really cement ourselves in the qualifying positions in the Europa League table. And for Roma, they need it more than anything. 3 losses in a row in Serie A. Maybe the pressure might start building up on Ranieri soon enough if they don't start picking up results, you know. In the Europa League as well, I believe that's at 20th or something like that currently at the time of doing this video. So both sides need a win. Both sides need a win. I'd say Roma probably a little more, but both sides do need a win. Both sides have been inconsistent this season. I'd say we've been better though. When we have won games, we've looked phenomenal. Where, you know, when Roma have won games, they've had to scrape through with 1-0s in the Europa League and, you know, 1 or 2-1s in the Serie A. And fair play, still got to get through. You know, Serie A has some good, you know, teams in there, but yeah, it's not been great whatsoever. Not been great whatsoever. Look, we'll delve into the to the predicted 11 now. Do I think Spurs will go strong for this game? Yes, I do. I think we may rest a couple, but considering we lost to Galatasaray, I think Ange will play a very solid starting 11. If we had won that game, we were on 4 wins heading into Fulham on Sunday. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some kids playing out there, getting some game time, but I don't believe he'll do that, and Roma will definitely play their best 11. They'd be stupid not to, as I say, and not take this competition seriously. It's our best chance of winning a trophy, and same with them, you know. So they'll play their best 11. I think we'll play a very strong side. In goal, it's likely going to be Fraser Forster, maybe Brandon Austin if, you know, he wants to give Forster a little rest before the constant run of games he's going to have. But yeah, Forster I'd expect to be in goal, and I don't have too much of a problem with that in the Europa League. I mean, even if I did, tough shit, Vicario's out, and we're at least not going to get a new keeper until January, even if we do. So Fraser Forster, as I say, starts off in goal. I expect a back 4. I think Romero and Van der Ven look likely to potentially be back, but I think Draxler and Davies played unbelievably well against Manchester City, that at least one has earned their spot. I think we'll see Romero come back for this game, play at centre-back, and I believe he will partner Ben Davies. I think Ben Davies was fantastic in that left centre-back spot. I think Draxler was brilliant, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Draxler start in the Premier League against Fulham after his performance. So I'm going with Davies and Romero. I wouldn't be surprised if it is Davies and Draxler, Van der Ven and Romero. It's really, really hard to predict. It really is. Left back, I think he will very likely go with Udogie. We don't have many other options at wing back. Right back, I think he'll go with Porro. I still think it was stupid not to choose Spence. I really, really do. Midfield 3 is where it gets interesting, you know. Does he play the same midfield 3 as he did against City? I don't believe so. I think Kulusevski going forward should continue to start in the midfield. We started him on the right for a tactical reason and it worked out brilliantly. I think we will see Bergvall start. I do. But I do think he'll be in there with some experience. Bentancur available for European games, so he should start in that game, which is good. And I do think we'll go with James Maddison after his performance and 2 goals that he got. So Maddison, Bergvall and Bentancur is the midfield 3. I am going with front 3. Richarlison out injured, so it's got to be Solanke. Left wing, Odobert. Is he fit? I'm not sure. You know, there was an injury and then we heard that he could be available, but I don't think he'd be risked anyway. So front 3, Solanke, Johnson, probably his son going to start? No, I think he'll start Werner. I'd like to see Mikey more, but I think he'll start Werner. So our squad's looking pretty thin at the minute due to injuries. Hopefully a lot of our players can regain some fitness. Obviously Vicario is going to be out for a long time, but your Romero's, your Van der Vens, you know, even squad players like Odobert, who I'm not a big fan of, need those players to give us back that squad depth. Richarlison included in that as well. So my predicted 11 is Fraser Forster, Pedro Porro, Destiny Udogie, a centre-back partnership of Ben Davies and Christian Romero, but it genuinely could be anything. A midfield 3 of Bergvall, James Maddison and Rodrigo Bentancur, and a front 3 of Dominic Solanke, Big Dom himself. On the right wing, Brennan Johnson, and on the left, Timo Werner. Score prediction, I believe it will be a tough game, but Roma's recent form, I believe, will have too much for them, in all honesty, especially coming off the back of that win on the weekend. If we are to do a Spurs, and what I mean by that is pick up a massive win and follow it up with a bad loss, I believe that will be on Sunday against Fulham. You know, they're just coming off a bad loss. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull off an upset. I can't see it with Roma, though. They are a good side, as I say, but I don't see it. In terms of danger men, Dovbyk is probably their main guy up top. The Ukrainian smashed it in La Liga last season. He hasn't been as good in Serie A, but he's still been banging in the goals, to be fair, despite how bang average, in the words of Box Office himself. If you don't know, get to know, has said. But as I say, he's still been pretty good. He's still been pretty good. Dybala, we know he's been there for years. Quality player. Wanted him at Spurs in the past, but hey ho, you don't always get what you want in life, and we didn't go out there and sign him. If we did, maybe we would have won a title under Poch, but that's a conversation for a different day. I believe Lukaku's Napoli, isn't he? Or does Lukaku play for Roma? I don't even know where Lukaku plays at the minute, to be honest. But yeah, obviously they got Matt Hummels and Dicker as well, one of their new signings. Kone, a player who I really like in the midfield. So they've still got some quality in there. But danger men, as I say, Dybala and I just forgot his name, Dovbyk. I do think they will score. Yeah, I'm going to predict a Spurs win, because I think we'll rest a couple of players. I don't see us panning them, but I do think we'll have too much for them considering their recent form as well. I'm going to say a 3-2 Spurs win. Guys, comment down below your score predictions, your thoughts and opinions heading into this game. All of that good stuff. Good stuff. I'm going to head half nil. Have a good evening. And as always, come on you Spurs.